Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime with my next Transformers Robots in Disguise 2015 episode review. This one's going to be for Season 1 Episode 4, More Than Meets the Eye. Not the best title if they really don't want to confuse people yet. It's like Transformers Robots in Disguise Episode 4, More Than Meets the Eye. It's just so weird, and I kind of get why they named it that, given the episode. That I suppose the idea is that Fix-It was more than meets the eye, and then he helped save the day towards the end of the episode. But still, kind of a weird name for the episode. But overall, I like the episode. I continue to enjoy this show. Definitely, this episode didn't help alleviate any of my worries about how plot or character focused the show is actually going to be going forward. Is there is going to be an overarching plot beyond just there are a bunch of Decepticons around the place, we have to capture them, because they didn't really address any of what I would consider to be the main plot or character points set up in the first three episodes, being Bumblebee becoming a better leader, addressing maybe Grimlock's past, Sideswipe's past, or Strongarm wanting to be trained by Bumblebee specifically like Optimus trained him, or nothing about Optimus or anything like that. This was very much the first episode of this series where it was just, this is an episode. The group captures two Decepticons, Bisque and Chop Chop, and that's about it. We get some setup for what I assume is going to be more the human characters with Russell and Hank, with Russell meeting Hank and joining that kind of group, the whole football plot side of the episode, which was, for what it was fine. It was only a small part of the episode. He eventually found something he was good at, and that's taking field goals and stuff like that. And that's interesting. I assume Hank is probably eventually, she will be the first one to fully discover that there are Transformers. I liked the few moments where she came to the kind of scrapyard, and the first time around they were just like, okay, everyone vehicle mode and scatter, and Grimlock's just there what do I do? So he just hops on the back of Strongarm, and she takes him off. And then the second time he's just stand still, and just play it off like he's a statue. That was pretty fun, and I'm interested. She seems pretty interesting as a character. Obviously, I think a lot of people are probably going to be seeing somewhat of a kind of romance interest over the course of the series, perhaps, but maybe they're too young to really go down that road. But maybe they'll be hinting at that at various times. I doubt they'll do anything with it, because remember Transformers Prime, they had what was it, Jack and was it Sierra or Sienna or something like that, and they didn't really do anything with it by the end of the series. So don't really have a lot of confidence with this show in doing any real romance plots, but we'll see where they go with that. But for what it is, I found her pretty interesting. If she ever returns again, I assume she will. They seem to make a relatively big deal out of her in terms of a human cast member. But other than that, the Decepticon Bisque, who was the kind of weird tentacly eye thing guy, was not really the most interesting character. He seemed to have this thing about breaking all these records and stuff like that, being very competitive in a battle, and they managed to defeat him fairly easily with some teamwork. Just an interesting action scene at the start of the episode. The Chop Chop was obviously the main focus of the episode, and he was actually pretty interesting just in terms of his design. He didn't really get a lot in his personality or anything like that. He was all about the design, and in being this combiner made up of 5 separate kind of spider-like things, and then they all combined together into him, and then he lost one of them temporarily and used Fix-It as his arm for a part of the episode, and that was interesting. But his character and what he was planning to do, it wasn't massively important. I get they had to stop any Decepticon from leaving the surface and going off and doing stuff, but it didn't quite have the impact that maybe it could have had. But for what it was again fine. It made for an interesting fight that the group had to battle with him, and the fights haven't been amazing just yet. I definitely think they're gonna have a moment where I assume most of the characters will get better weapons. Obviously the Bumblebee toy comes with the big sword, Sideswipe debuted, I think, for the first time his kind of sword that he uses, which was actually really cool. I like that he's the character who's going to be kind of close up, just using swords, while Strongarm and Bumblebee are primarily using their kind of pistol blaster things. I assume Bumblebee, at some point, maybe towards the end of this season or something like that, at an important point this season, will get that sword, which potentially is the Star Saber. And then Strongarm, the weapon that she comes with seems just like a bigger gun, so it'd be interesting if they ever do anything with that. And Grimlock is obviously strong as ever. But yeah, Grimlock was very fun in the episode. The other three, Bumblebee, Strongarm, Sideswipe, there wasn't really much with their characters in the episode. They were involved in the action scenes. They're the main characters. But primarily the focus was kind of Chop Shop and then Fix-It's involvement in the field, because he's kind of feeling a little left out since they were doing all the field work, and he was eventually put on this mission because of his technical know-how, and it all it really built to was just like he was being controlled as a minicom by Chop Shop, and then he fought back a little bit, which gave enough time for the rest of them to defeat him. Bumblebee with the uppercut into the I assume liquid nitrogen tanker, and it froze him and stuff like that. So, fairly basic episode. Nothing incredibly impressive. I thought the first two episodes, pilot part 1 and part 2, were very strong, and that they immediately set up something for all the characters. But it's episodes like this where, if too many of the episodes this season are like this, I'll be a little bit worried about the series going forward, and that they're not addressing what I would consider to be the important plot/character points going forward. But it's still an early episode. They're still introducing us to the characters. I assume we're probably going to get basically an episode focused on each of the characters at some point. So last week's episode was kind of Sideswipe Strongarm focused. Episode 3 with the first two episodes were introduction. Episode 3 was kind of Sideswipe Strongarm trust building. This one was more Fix-It, his kind of first kind of big moment. Maybe next week they'll give Grimlock an episode, Bumblebee a focus in an episode, or something like that. So that's that. Maybe Steeljaw will come back into the series. He seems to be the only villain character that they're really setting up as something more than just around for an episode. But that said, they didn't capture all of Chop Shop. I think that was definitely set up for him returning at some point, in that one of the spiders escaped, so they basically captured an armless Chop Shop in the episode. So I don't really know what that's set up for. That seems a little bit like they're doing in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at this point in time. The show has this inability to just finish off a villain for good and just say, okay, we're not bringing him back. And in that show, they have a million villains, and they just won't get rid of one of them for good. And I'm a little bit worried that they're going down that road in this show, that they won't just kill off a character, even if the episode would be made better for doing that, or just take them out of the picture. Because they've kind of done that with nearly all of the characters. Even in this show already, they've kind of hinted at that, but that the technology's not the best. Maybe they'll escape. But for what it is, I think it's a decent start to the series. I just do want to see the series try and approach a lot of the kind of character stuff a little bit more. Maybe the first season will be completely devoted to that, and then maybe in season 2, I think it's been said that they're going to bring some of the previous Prime cast into Robots in Disguise, and maybe it'll be more plot focused from there. But I assume they'll have to do something getting towards season finale time in this show. But other than that, other things I noticed, that the animation continues to really impress me. Some of the vehicle scenes in this show, in this episode, were actually really impressive. I like how kind of angular and stuff like that the vehicle modes look. I think they look really cool. And that's one of the main reasons why I bought some of the warrior figures. I think the vehicle modes look really cool. The robot modes are pretty nice as well, but definitely some of the vehicle stuff here looks really cool. But other than that, that's all I really wanted to say about the episode. In the comments, definitely let me know what your thoughts were on episode 4, More Than Meets the Eye. Again, the title's just not really sure what they were going for there, because Other thing, actually, I didn't mention this in the first two videos. The intro to the show. Visually, I think the intro is fine. The song that they play is really bad. It's just not very good at all. It's just robots in the sky is said like 4 or 5 times in increasingly more robotic-y ways, and it's just not very impressive. Especially after Transformers Prime had a really good intro. But yeah, that's the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.